These are the scariest Japanese urban legends, part 1. This is Tiki Tiki, who is a Japanese ghost demon. She lost the lower half of her body by jumping off a train, and she was then cut in half by the oncoming train. Her name comes from the sound she makes as she's pursuing victims, as she's running across the ground using her hands. There is no way to defeat or get away from Tiki Tiki, mainly because she's a demonic spirit and is also insanely fast on her hands. Her powers include superhuman speed and strength, stealth, and even possession. Her only goal is to kill anybody who comes in her path and cut them in half. So whatever you do, hope you never see Tiki Tiki, because if you do, you're most likely going to die. This is Anaka-san, and she died in her school bathroom in the 3rd stall, and now her spirit resides in there. She's extremely demonic and sinister and is often compared to Bloody Mary. You can actually summon Hanaka-san, and all you have to do, go into a girl's bathroom and knock 3 times. And ask if Hanaka-san is there. And if she is, Hanaka-san will then drag you down to hell and either eat you or have you suffer in hell for eternity. Her powers include invisibility, teleportation, and levitation. And her main hobby is to kill anybody who tries to summon her. So whatever you do, never try to summon Hanaka-san, because you will most likely get hurt or killed.
Keep scrolling if you like to sleep at night, because this is Earth's Scariest Places Part 64. This is Putare Prison, an abandoned Soviet Union-era prison located in Estonia. Throughout its history, this place has been home to some of the most brutal treatment of prisoners in the world. There are the obvious executions that happened at every prison during this time period, as well as some physical and psychological abuse at the hands of the prison guards. But during World War II and a little bit before, this place is rumored to be the home of some of Nazi Germany's extremely dark human experimentation, which I can't really go into detail on TikTok. Today, this place is completely abandoned and open to the public. As a result of its extremely dark history, it's very, very haunted. Explorers have reported hearing ghosts, seeing ghosts, and feeling a dark presence here. As always, follow for more creepy shit.
A police sergeant called this case the most bizarre he's seen in 30 years. This is the bizarre disappearance of the Trump family. The Trump family was a seemingly normal, hardworking family living in Sylvan, Australia. The parents, Mark and Jacoba, and their 3 adult children, Rihanna, Mitchell, and Ella, all worked on the family's berry farm. Until August 29, 2016, when the entire family up and vanished, leaving their cell phones, credit cards, passports, and no warning. The entire family disappeared. After friends noticed, police went to the Trump home to find it in complete disarray. Their financial records were rifled through as if someone was looking for something, and the home was a mess. It looked like they wanted to be untraceable with a cash-only trip. Mitchell, the Trump son, brought his cell phone, but miles into the trip, his family made him throw it out of the car window. They said it could be used to track them. The family drove all day and all night until reaching the city of Bathurst, and for some reason, Mitchell separated from the family at 7 a.m. The remaining 4 family members continued to drive east toward the Jenolan Caves. Once they arrived, Rihanna and Ella separated from their parents, stole a car, drove to the city of Goulburn, and then reported their parents missing. Then, strangely, the sisters split up. Ella returns home and was greeted by police, and Mitchell arrived home the next morning, and the 2 seemed fine. But Rihanna was found in a truck bed by a driver almost an hour away. He was driving and felt a kick in the back of his truck. He pulled over to find Rihanna in the back in a complete catatonic state. This man called police. She didn't know who she was, where she was, and they took her to a psych ward. Now just the parents were missing. The 2 drove towards Melbourne, then separated. They found Jacoba wandering miles away, agitated. She was also taken to the psych ward. Now it's just Mark, and this is where the story takes a creepy turn. One night around 10 p.m., Mark was spotted dangerously tailgating a young couple. The couple was really scared as he was so close to their car they couldn't even see his headlights. The couple pulled over, and Mark pulled up behind them. He got out of the car, started running towards them, randomly stopping in the middle of the road, and just stared at them. He turned and ran into a nearby park and vanished. After 6 days, Mark was found wandering down a road and taken in for evaluations. And to this day, no one knows the reason behind this. Police couldn't find any threats against the family, no drug use, no debts. The family cannot explain it. What do you think happened?
Rolls Royce umbrellas when I'm in the rain. I just mind my Okay, all jokes aside, Appalachia really does have the scariest shit. Like, did you know there's a plot of land in Appalachia that is so haunted? They have a plaque commemorating getting rid of the demon. And I only know about it because I did so much research for this week's episode, but I literally can't sleep now. So this ill-proportioned man is Adam Livingston. In the 1700s, he was tormented by a poltergeist in his home after he buried a stranger in an unmarked grave on his property. I mean, what did you think was going to happen? Legend has it that one night in West Virginia, a traveling stranger came to Adam's place and told him that he was dying. He asked for a priest to be fetched for his last rites, but Adam wouldn't go get one. AKA, his wife was like, please don't leave me alone with this man. So the stranger died, but Adam didn't even know his name, so he just buried him in an unmarked grave in the back of his yard and got back to work. And that's when it just went full conjuring in his home. He came outside to see that his chickens had randomly been beheaded. Adam said at night it sounded like there was a horse upstairs, like that's how loud the stomping was. But one night Adam has a dream, and in the dream he thinks he sees the man that can help him. And the haunting stopped after he went and got this man, who ended up being a Catholic priest like the stranger wanted. They blessed the grave, and if you visit you can see where they marked his burial site. For more Appalachian horror, check out this week's episode.
What's even crazier about Jeffrey Dahmer, with the guy that got away, everybody knows the story about him. He broke free, he ran to the cops, they came in and found all of the body parts in the fridge, and right, everybody knows
and
that
big
part.
Vat in his like bedroom and all that stuff.
Nobody really knows the story of the guy. Tracy Edwards, so when he got out, you know, and the news broke of what was going on, as like, think about it, right? Think about what that does to the mental. And so you already feel isolated, and then it's like, I legitimately could have died tonight. His life after that took like a terrible spiral. He spent years and years with drug addiction and going to jail, and it's awful. Like it's terrible. And it was like it happened to him, and then the world was just like, figure it out. And while you're doing that, anytime you look up, you're gonna see this guy's face everywhere. But one of the scariest parts about
is the LSD experience.
John Wayne Gacy was from Chicago. He was a volunteer for the Democratic Party in Township, Illinois. He actually had his picture taken with the First Lady, Jimmy Carter's wife. He's so notorious, I think, because American culture has this weird fear of clowns, and he used to dress up like a clown. What he used to do was, because he was a contractor, which is why he would clean for the Democratic thing, he would put out ads for like hiring people to work for him, right? And so how he would lure his victims, he would have them meet at his house, and he was well known within the city also, so people weren't afraid to go in. If he tells me to come to his house for a job interview, like, everybody knows him, of course I'll do it. And so what he would do was he would invite them over, and then he would somehow try to trick them into putting on handcuffs. He would say it was like a safety training thing where he would teach them how to get out of it in case they're ever in a, I don't know how it worked, but it worked pretty often. So he would get them in handcuffs, and that's when he would essay them and then like choke them, and they can't defend themselves. It's crazy because
is the LSD experience.
One of the worst doomsday cults since Jonestown is currently operating in Kenya, and over 600 people are still missing. Just a heads up, this story is heavy. Rogue pastor Paul Mackenzie told his followers that the world was going to end in April. He's been living with hundreds of followers on a farm in Kenya, and he told them that if they wanted to reach heaven faster, they would have to do it through starvation. And already the bodies of 200 severely emaciated followers have been found on that farm. It was recently discovered that Paul was encouraging followers to starve children first. This tactic is implemented by some cult leaders because if the children go first, then the adults are way more likely to follow. Paul was arrested last month and actually goes to court today, but he's held these wacky beliefs for a while. Back when he was a pastor at a traditional church, he told parents that educating children was satanic and very much discouraged parents from getting any medical care for children under like any circumstances. This has caused many other Kenyan church leaders to distance themselves from Paul. Hopefully his arrest will help people detransition out of the church, but there's still a lot of people missing.